Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Let Us Look at the League. I'm Lawrence Mangenje. My guest on the show tonight is sportscaster Norbert Basvi. Norbert, how are you, bro?
I'm good, Lawrence. How are you?
Good. I'm going to say my Bhora per weekend.
I'm a Bhora nugget.
And
we fought a lot. We witnessed a lot. And we are going to see a lot.
So we witnessed a lot, and we are going to discuss a lot. But before we go into that discussion with Norbert, let us look at what happened over the weekend in match day 32 of the Castle Premier Soccer League. So it's official now. Scotland, Mavira are the 2025 Premier Soccer League champions after an emphatic 5-1 victory over relegated Kwekwe United at Ascot. Tinoti makorokoto kuna Tondera Indiraya Stanza anova coach wakomana wemabviravira awo vaita the first team since 1984 to win the title in their maiden season in the championship. Scotland mabviravira. But
Tongoti makorokoto, it was we were not expecting Zagawanda because if you look from 1984 up to now, it's a long period. But history records are meant to be broken, and the fact that they wanted it, they showed that they really wanted it. So Tongoti makorokoto.
What is it that you think they did good the most in terms of like being in their maiden season in the country's top flight? Obviously, the expenditure. The investment that they put into is it the only thing that necessitated them to be where they are today?
I think for Scotland, they just look at what other teams are lacking. You know, in Zimbabwe, we've got the traditional three, that is Highlanders, Dynamos, and Capes. And though angoshandiswa kuni Scotland, kutsanga kuti mapriority ma weaknesses in the app. First, it was nyaya yekusaina ma players. They did their best. They signed those. Most of the guys were in the last year top 11, and they took most of those guys. And also the support base. They know to kutoita sei nevanhu vedu, and then vakatsvaga masupport yavo, because you cannot, the 12 men were always important. So if you look at most of their matches, magara makazara, and if they are losing, team inongoramba ichingo, so that morale inenge ichingodiwa. So they invested well in terms of mari chaicha players avo. They signed the greatest players. Look at knowledge msona. Some of us, most if not all, had not seen knowledge msona achitamba Bhora league muno mu Zimbabwe rather. Saka takavatazoona, and that gave them that boost inodiwa. And look where they are now. They are the champions.
Back-to-back titles for Tundi. I think the first coach to do so with different teams after having guided Simba Bhora to their first championship last year. How good has he been?
I think for Stanza, he now knows what is wanted. Even during his days at Ngezi Platinum, akatotsvaga ma weaknesses akaona for me to win ndinoda ABCD. It's said that most people don't see him as the coach that he is, and because most people have been saying there's always a disadvantage that comes with coaching a team that is well sponsored. People always think that I'm a Bhora kutengwa and stuff. And for Stanza, I feel sorry for him, because most guys, if you look at the statistics, if you look at my comments, but he is a great coach. He showed that to the Argo Dynamos. He showed that at Ngezi Platinum. He showed that last year with Simba. Not many people thought that Simba Bhora were going to win that league, but they did. And now look with Scotland, after spending all those times, Vashingoru Paza, Spanamos, Chinjana, and Simba Bhora, and from my signings, and then Avaningikira. So he proved that he is a great coach, just like most of my local coaches, but they don't get that respect. Why? Because they are local.
Indeed. And another Premiership debutant that is doing well in their first season, obviously Moors. They edged Triangle United 1-0 at Moors Ngoni Stadium over the weekend to move into second position. Do you think Moors bottled the title, considering how well they were doing in the first half of the season?
For Moors, I was expecting that. You know, they didn't sign Van Wagawanda. It's one team. I'd like to take it most kunge Rhinos yatukutoroteka wina ninge. Awana munyanyo changes Wagawanda pa team yao. And for them to be sitting by number 2, it means that they know what exactly that they were doing. Lloyd Mtasa, thumbs up to him. He assembled a great team, and I expect a few signings as Itika one, Abubakar, Moffat, Wakazoya. So I was expecting it. Why? Because most of those guys, they lacked that a Premier League experience. And it was proven during the second half of the season after doing well. So I think for most, they just need a very few brilliant individuals next season. When they experience a league, I can tell you they can be one of those teams, because I was not. It's not easy. Kuti mapinda mu league amnambonyanyuita signings akawanda, but to them, thumbs up. Why? Because they're not on community not on Ngoni stadium. That was a plus, because in those because look, they lost 2-0 to Triangle, and then the next game they played together. Who wanted it more? It was actually Triangle more than Moss. But what did they do? They won. Why? Because they just looked good. So what should we do? And they managed to do that.
Hey, so let's look at the other wrong end of the table, which is the relegation matrix. 10 teams involved in that relegation dogfight, and it can go either way. Anyone can get the chop at the end of the season. Even the traditional giants, Dynamos and Highlanders, are not safe. But Dembare, a crucial 1-0 victory over Wilson Tegede's Bikita Minerals. Emmanuel Jalai with the solitary goal from the penalty spot. Do you think Dynamos are safe now?
I always want to go back to 1987 when Zexman wrote, he had an album to Soccer Star. He's saying for the then champion teams that was Cape United, Dynamos, Islanders, and Zimbabwe Saints. Those three are still there, but Zimbabwe Saints is long gone. Dynamos, yes, of course they won, but history does not save you from relegation. For now, the fact that they are playing a Yada, a team that is also fighting relegation, because probably a defeat for Yada will mean that they are down and probably out. And for Dynamos, they know that if they lose, things are now tight, because they will play FC Platinum in their last game.
But remember, they haven't lost since Kaindu took over, eh?
Yes, they haven't lost, but of course they haven't lost. But it's a matter of who wants it more now. Yada are relegation specialists. If you look at the past 3 seasons, they've been there, and they miraculously survived. And now this time that they are playing at Dynamos, that the fact that Dynamos have not yet lost ever since Kaindu took over, but they're still fighting relegation, means a lot to Lawrence, because it means that other teams, the other teams are doing well there. Those teams that are up, just like them. So they're the first half of the season actually destroyed them. But I see them surviving, but it's not going to be that easy as many people are saying, because if you look, if Zimbabwe Saints are gone, probably there's another team that will follow them from the 4 teams that Zexman are saying for. Yes.
Kwekwe United already relegated. They will be joined by 3 more teams into the second tier of Zimbabwean football. If you were to pinpoint, which 3 teams do you think will join Kwekwe United?
That's a tricky one, because if you look at the log table right now, most teams they've got, including Dynamos, they are sitting on 37 points. I think, like we said, it's about 9 or 10 teams, including Cape United, who are sitting on number 10. They're still there with 39 points. They're only leading by 2 Dynamos, who spent better part of the season down there with only 2 points. So if I'm to pick teams, I think it's now hard for Bikita Minerals, because that loss against Dynamos didn't do them any favor. And I would also think that Greenfield, they're not playing that much well, and they're playing the newly crowned champions, that is Scotland next. And the third team would probably be, for Triangle, I don't think. Maybe Triangle, but the good thing about Triangle is that they are playing already relegated Kwekwe next, so that can actually give them a small lifeline. And then the other game, but things are not looking well for Islanders as well. for Highlanders.
Oyo, maboso. Ngomana tara ye good team is safe.
Yeah.
Oyo, team is safe.
You look at it.
They drew 1-1 with Simba-based. By the way, Simba-based have gone for 6 games
Yes.
without victory.
Just
And,
like Highlanders.
Yeah. So is Peter De Jong cooking? Like, can you make sure that they survive relegation?
It's all tricky now because 2 teams that they are playing against, it's actually they're playing Chicken In, and there's another team that is also fighting relegation in Manika Diamonds. In Manika Diamonds, they're playing those 2, and both these teams know that 3 points is the only thing that they need for them to survive. And they're playing Highlanders that they spent 6 games without winning a league game. So it's going to be tricky, especially if Triangle beats Kwekwe United. It's now going to be tricky for Highlanders. So they have to... Gato Sunga Simba, because there's no Miramush.
Well, perhaps the fact that Dynamos, Highlanders, and Cape United is a topic, in the relegation matrix rather, is a topic that needs to be discussed on Tuesday's show. Because Nusha misses no era. Because we're talking about 3 of the biggest teams in the country. And they are all in the relegation matrix. Bizarre, isn't it?
For the first time, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that we've seen such things happening. But for our football, what to be great. Even Juventus were actually relegated to 4th tier and they came back. So for our football to really improve, I don't see anything wrong with them being relegated. Because if you're not playing good football, if you're not doing anything to show that you're a traditional giant, you have the right to be relegated. And if things don't go well, I'm seeing one of those going down, particularly between Dynamos and the Highlanders.
You reckon between Dynamos and the Highlanders, one is going down?
But there's a possibility, 50-50 possibility. Tradition and history does not save you from relegation. Sadly.
As Matakash Gagara, Nyara Zimwana, those who don't know but he reckons between Highlanders and Dynamos, the biggest teams in the country in terms of following, in terms of history, one of them is going down. That's big, bro. But anyway, the season, 2 games to go before the season, and Scotland have obviously been confirmed as the champions for 2025. And naturally, when such a time comes, the discussion over the outstanding players of the season obviously emerges on various forms of social media. In your view, based on the number of games that you have watched and what has happened in the 2025 campaign, who do you think deserves the prestigious Soccer Star of the Award?
You know, every November is always tricky because that's when most of the players will start to befriend those they know they are going to vote. But for me, personally, I would think Kelvin Moore is, for me.
Kelvin Moore?
Yes.
Oyo.
Kelvin, because Zimbabweans, our problem is that we are obsessed with names. We're obsessed with names and teams. Of course, he plays for Scotland, but if I'm not mistaken, he played a better half of most games.
Didn't he play every game for Scotland?
For Scotland.
Yeah.
And if you look at Scotland right now, they only conceded 19 goals. Which means that their defense was rock solid. But
do they have the best defense in 2025?
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And if you look at him, he's one player who's just talented. For me, it has to be him. And probably Washington Navaya, the fact that he's scoring goals. Of course, and we know that he's now leading Machope with only two games, 2 goals rather. But he's playing for Tier 1. And he scored 17 goals already. Last season, we saw Chukwu being part of that. Why? Because he scored more than... he scored 17 goals and he became the top goal scorer. And William Tole, he has to be between those 3 because the last time we checked, I think he had about 16 or 17 clean sheets. And playing for a team that we're talking about is gone 6 games without a win. And he has been an outstanding player for Simba Bhora.
Tell me something, Norbert. You're obviously a sports journalist and you are probably part of the people that vote. Do you think it's a must that the Soccer Star of the Year ought to come every time from a team that would have won the championship?
No, that's a...
Because that has happened, I think, in the last 5 years.
Yes. That's one mistake that we are making. You know, success is never bought, Lawrence.
Okay.
And most of these players, they just play for their teams. But you look at the individual brilliance. The same is always happening with the Ballon d'Or. We've seen people saying a team that wins either the World Cup or the Champions League, a player is to come from there. Remember 1986, Moses Chunga scored about 46 goals, 30 in the league and 16 in cup games. You automatically became one, but there was a story behind saying, because I think who was it Highlanders was playing very well, but eventually it was given to Chunga. I think that's where most people get it wrong, that if a team wins the league, then automatically a player is to individual brilliance and what you are doing. Look at Dynamos right now. Emmanuel Jalai has been one outstanding player, but look where Dynamos is. There's a possibility that he can be part. Remember, I say possibility can be part of that, because last season he was there as well, and this season it looks like but he's playing good football, and you can all see that. But Dynamos is fighting relegation. Okay. If a player, let's take for example, if a Kwekwe United player had scored 17 goals, but they are already relegated, would we not say that that player was outstanding? But because a team is relegated, does it mean that it's not? So that's something wrong within our football culture, that we always think that the soccer star comes from a team that is won the league.
And 9 times out of 10, a forward player.
Yes, a forward player. Yes, I think even if you look at the Ballon d'Or, was the last player defender to win Ballon d'Or? It should be Cannavaro in 2006. Why? Because Italy had won the World Cup, and that has to be destroyed. That culture has to be destroyed. Why? Because no can some of my players. Because I did my best. I played good football, but I no much POH. Why? Because that's not it.
Okay. So you spoke about Kevin Moyo being your top contender for the top Kong. You also spoke about Manu Jalai from Dynamos. You also spoke about Washington, the navigator, Mateo One. In the Matrix. Who else did you speak about? You spoke about
William
Tole being the goalkeeper. Who else do you think deserves to be on the calendar?
Bruce Kangwa. He's been. Look at most games that Cape United have been playing without Bruce Kangwa. What was happening? So that they were losing or they were conceding funny goals. But he has been good. He has been good. Look at his age. Is not 39 or 40, but he's still there, showing the youngsters how it is done in the league. He definitely has to be a part of that top 11. If we are to vote not using feelings, but using a performance.
Let's talk about the voting process itself. The goalkeeper of the year is voted for, which means William Tole, despite having the most clean sheets, can end up not being the goalkeeper of the year. Do you think that needs to change? Or we should just put it as outright as the goalkeeper with the most clean sheets? Because what is the difference anyway between the goalkeeper of the year award and the golden glove? Is there a distinction there?
There's no distinction. It has to be changed.
Okay.
Why? Because still goalkeeper of the year. We're not looking at a team. We are looking at Muno one. Either 14, 20 clean sheets. But automatically you have to become.
What about the case whereby a goalkeeper, yes, he's a good goalkeeper, he is having a lot of clean sheets, but he equally has a good defense. As you were saying, the Scotland defense has been brilliant. You know, Kevin Moyo, Peter Mdua, those guys really put a foot wrong. Doesn't a goalkeeper benefit from that as well?
He can, but look at
in terms of clean sheets.
Yes, let's look at Tole himself. Simba Bhora has been conceding goals left, right, and center. Their defense, but he has been putting some of the great saves during these games. But yes, of course, defense plays, but the defense starts with the goalkeeper. He's the first defender because he's defending goals from getting in, and he has been doing that well. So I think something needs to be changed, because the thing with things that are voted is not necessarily you end up Mark Sashandisa Ziripo on ground. Mark Shansa probably is Yano. Because no one goes Gara Marengo. knows that because Ndundewangu, because I vote, let me just vote for him. But deep down, apana. It happened in, is it 97, when Castle actually walked away from sponsoring the soccer star of the day. It was given to her. Was it Water Chuma instead of Dr. Tor Mrewa or something? So we don't want to cause scenes. Bhora is not Kangansi. So something needs to be done, because now is the time when soccer players will be befriending journalists because they know that they vote.
What exactly do you think needs to be done? Do you think we need to change the voting process in terms of the actual people who vote, or use a different criteria? If so, what sort of criteria do you think is best for the Soccer Star of the Year award?
I think now we are now living in the digital era. We need to, from the first game up until the last, we have to, the sponsors, PSA rather, should find a way to create probably a platform where fans will be looking at each week as it comes, who has been outstanding, and why.
But the fans have their own award. Look, remember there is a fans Soccer Star of the Year.
Yes, but it has to be part of that same thing. Chofanange chingori chinu toshandisa iyoyo pose waita wozovota wavamwe, because remember it's not every fan. My mbuya in checheche can be a soccer fan, but havana access yekuvota, ndo vanokuzokwanisa kuzovota pa player of the fans player of the year. But PSA has to do something so that panel authorities, because even if I am to ask you right now, Kuti, who has many assists and who has many blocks that prevented from a goal, no, not why? Because we don't see. Atina vanhu vakawanda. If a game is not broadcasted, hakuna kuti unzozoti triangle kwakuchitamba triangle negreenfield chichaitika. Probably keep us ever to mapena inongozonyorwa ya newspaper, but atina kuona pamanga atombogoesa mabhora ajikisa, but nitaita say. So PSA has to do something, create a platform where people will be voting every week and see which player has been outstanding, and then zozotorwa izozo together with the votes anenga votwa nema captain, nema coaches, nema journalists, and then you choose from there.
A gentle reminder to the video, to the viewers rather, the people who actually vote. The voting panel consists of journalists, like you rightly said, coaches of all PSO teams, as well as captains representing all PSO teams, and then the coach of the year. I'll ask you the same question that I asked you in terms of the player, the most outstanding player. Do you think always that the coach of the year should be the title-winning coach?
No, not at all. Because you look at right now the situation. Stans, of course, has won the league. Look at what Kelvin Kind is doing to Dynamos. It's now at 9 games without loss. A Dynamos that was already probably down and out during the first half of the season. You look at Triangle, when Genesis Mangombe took over, they did not yet won a single game. He managed to resuscitate them. And look where they are. You look at Lloyd Mtasa, taking a team straight from D1, now they're sitting on second position. So, of course, there are those 4 coaches that are there that I've mentioned. But obviously, if you are to look at who won the league, of course it goes to Stanza. But I think something needs to be done as well, just like in other areas, because it's not auto. Like it's not supposed to be auto like that, because there are actually other teams that performed well. Scotland has not won all the games. I know in a essay, teams. Why? Because the coaches were actually brilliant and their coach. So chitarisa isinya ema titles or nyaye kutoa wina magame mangani, but what you contributed to the team. Look at Kelvin Kaindu. His contributions to Dynamos, everyone can see. He doesn't need a helicopter view to see that Dynamos were there, but now they are there because of this man. Look at like Triangle, like I said. So something needs to be done.
But let's look at it from another viewpoint, Norbert. Twendera Indira took over the reins at Scotland. Must have been in February 2025. You are taking over a newly promoted team with a new system and a new way of doing things, and a completely new squad assembled instantly there. Football is a process. You require a lot of time for results to manifest. Don't you think Tundi, in that context, having a newly promoted team, with a new team altogether, did well to win the championship?
Not taking anything away from Tundi. Even if I'm to coach Scotland, this is possible. I can actually. Lawrence, why? Why am I saying this? Look at the players that are there at Scotland.
Yeah.
You speak of your Kamabili ads. You speak of your Linot Chuko. Of course, now is it Chicken Inn. You look at your Godimurira. It took 7 players who were 7 or 8 players who were part of the best 11 last season. This is cream tata.
Yeah.
Yangotorwa and then Ovaningikira. My players mangani and vacho wakauya wakava. You look at Ronald Fumbidza, he's proven he won the league with Cape United in 2016. Azmon manga. You look at their goalkeeper. In as much as he did that, but these are players who already have experience. In that regard, rather, I would actually say Lloyd Mutasa did better than Stanza.
But look, let's look at it from another angle, Norbert. It's probably not as easy as you are saying, and history can attest to that, even across the borders.
Yeah.
Real Madrid, the Galacticos, that team failed to win any meaningful silverware with the best players in the world. So football is a team sport. It's not as easy as it appears to have such a squad. You have to control the egos, a lot of things. So don't you think he deserves some kind of credit to a certain extent?
Yes, credit he deserves, but not him alone. Even the Scotland board as well. Because the fact that they had a vision. And their vision was simple. You can listen to Scott Sakpanya speaking about wanting to be part of the Champions League, and it starts with like you said, you rightfully said, they'd actually, the money they invested in that project is more than the money they are receiving for winning
the championship.
The championship.
But if you look at what Honorable Scott, like you rightly said, the owner of Mavira said, sometime a few months ago, he was asked about the team's targets and its objectives. He was very, very quick to say top 4 is our target. Do you think he was just trying to manage PR, or he was actually believing? Because he was asked about the teams which he thought would actually win the title. He mentioned Simba, Bhora, and then Norbert Basvi's FC Platinum. He was very, very clear in terms of where he thinks his team will be at the end of the season, and he was saying a top 4 finish. So perhaps could it be a case that Tundi exceeded expectations?
Shakespeare once said, "Thought is free," and Honorable Scott Sakpanya said what was in his mind. The funny thing is that he didn't include Moz, who were actually sitting on top during that time.
Well, nobody expected Moz to do
that. Without actually losing a single game. But in as much as it is like that, I think the thing with our football is that if a team is well sponsored, and if a team has got structures that are actually working for them, no issue to do with bonuses, no issue to do with salaries, you have a greater chance of winning the league title. Look at the teams that won the league during the past 4 seasons. It's actually Simba, Bhora, and then FC Platinum. Those teams are well sponsored. We've not heard much about noise about Nyayogunzat, Nokpomar, and look at Scotland. We've not heard any of that, and it didn't disturb them. And if you've got a team like that, you've got my owners who own up to their Ninge, to their Zanoda. What else would you need?
But you make it sound as if investment translates to results, but that's not always the case.
Yes.
If you look at 2023, when Simba Bhora got promoted, they invested a lot. They bought over 15 players. Basically, only 2 players from the Division 1 title winning team remained behind. That was a huge investment. But they almost got relegated in 2023.
Yes, I have to agree with you, but it's a learning process. And then what happened the next season?
They won the championship, of course.
Because they looked at some of the mistakes that they had done. And one of them has to be the fact that they were playing their games in Shamva. It was a nice stadium where it all started. That actually, we cannot take away that. Because look where Moors are right now. Because they just took the same script that Simba Bhora did. And they almost won it.
Yeah, but my argument is, investment doesn't always translate to
Yes,
results.
yeah.
Look at Cape United. Reportedly, Farage has put in a lot of money this season. And so many players were bought, even a change in the technical team as well. A lot of money put in there. Even a sponsorship deal of some sort. But Cape United are fighting relegation.
But after that, you look at the results, they've been favoring them. After those investments were actually made. I can tell you that next season, Cape United will be one of the beasts. Because they
Don't you think we'll get tired of that chorus? That next season, Cape United will be one of the beasts. Because it's not the first time.
Yes, I know. It's not the first time. But if you had to look at the traditional giants of Zimbabwean football, they are actually the one that last won the league between those three in 2016. And if rumors are to be followed, they've already started building their project next year. That is if they survive relegation anyway, because it's not guaranteed. But I can tell you that they are going to be one of those teams that will be playing to win the league next season.
Next year.
Yes.
It's going to be very, very interesting marathon. Possibly another team that is investing a lot in terms of players, in terms of infrastructure, is that Rock. And that Rock can be in the PSL next season. They just need to win their game over the weekend against MSU. Do you think having a lot of teams that are well-oiled in the Premiership improves the league itself?
To some extent, yes, it does. To some extent, it does. And because we need teams to be afraid of losing their players to those well-sponsored teams. So they will actually do something so that they will keep their players. Because if you look at teams, it will mean that we have the Hard Rock, Scotland, the Simba Bhora, Moors, and possibly Bulawach. Bulawach Chiefs. Yes, they are being promoted. They are well sponsored as well. And in Cape United, we saw what happened last season. That most players ran to Scotland. Why? Because they had money. But now that we are having teams that are actually also well sponsored, equally. They will not go there. But what the only thing that it kills is the development of football. The league can be lucrative, but in terms of development, nothing will be moving, nothing will be developing, because most of those teams, they don't usually take players from their academies or other teams.
Okay.
Because they just take well-proven players that they know they've got experience and stuff.
And then lastly, Norbert, Mangenje was sacked as Warriors coach. We await to find out who the next Warriors coach is 49 days before the AFCON finals. During his tenure in charge of the country's senior men national soccer team, Mangenje repeatedly said the local league is not good enough. The type of football, the players are not on a high level. I don't know from what definition of viewpoint he said that. He was not happy also with the pitches around the country in terms of where the football itself is played. Do you think the incoming Warriors coach might have a different view of the local league, particularly in the context that South Africa qualified for the FIFA World Cup during their last game against Rwanda, 3-0 emphatic victory, with no foreign player on the field of play, with no foreign-based player, with 11 locally based players? What do you think? Do you think the next Warriors coach will have a different view of the local league?
I think so. I think that's one mistake that Mangenje did. Was actually not agreeing that we also have good players. Look at the goals that we scored. We're struggling to score goals, but we've got someone who has scored 17 goals right now in those same pitches that we are saying are not good. What if they're in a good pitch? Imagine what they would do. So I think whoever is coming, he has to know that we are a soccer-loving nation. Yes, of course. We also have talented players. They might be playing here, but that does not. You don't have to take away the right for them to play in the national team just because you are saying our pitches are bad. Because look at those players who had played abroad. Look at your knowledge, Msonas. Where are they playing right now? They're playing in that same local league. You look at your Billiards. Where are they playing right now? They're playing. What was he using? Was he using experience or what? Because it's the same pitch that they're playing. So that was one of the greatest mistakes that he did, and it actually costed him his job. So I think whoever is coming next, he has to sit down and know exactly what he wants to do. So it's all about the philosophy. What do you want to do with what players? Because Fabish did well with most local players. Of course, you can say it was in the 90s, the pitches were A, B, C, D, but he never complained much about any of those things, just like what Mekonis was doing. Obviously, he wanted to find somewhere people under Napo, and he was doing that. But with those players that we are saying Wanga are good, he only qualified for AFCON, and the player who made that to happen was actually playing in the local league. Because if you look at the last goals that were scored, Wotamson scored 2 goals, and Kama Billiard scored that penalty against Namibia that gave us the ticket to go to Morocco in December. So the next coach who is coming, he has to sit down and look at every game. But sadly, the league is over now. So if he is a foreign coach who is coming, I think if we are to take what the ZIFA president said, it's supposed to be done today. Or yes, maybe today. So if it's a foreign coach already, it's a disadvantage to local players. Why? Because you arrive at a time when there are only 2 games so that you can actually see if there is A, B, C, D or what.
Well, interesting points there. That was sportscaster Norbert Basvi, who was joining us on this week's episode of Let's Look at the League. Let me take you through some of the things he said. He said boldly that between Islanders and Dynamos, one of them is going down.
Possibly they are going down.
He also reckons as well that Cape United, for the umpteenth time, will be among the teams fighting for the championship next year. Norbert, it was a great pleasure having you on Let's Look at the League. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Lawrence. It's good to be here.
Well, that was Let's Look at the League. See you again in the next episode.